Hey everybody, good evening. It's Dr. Brennan and I'm on day 3. Tonight I just wanted to talk about fat. And before we get too much into what fat is, as far as how we make it, how we break it down, what are all the different factors in that, I just wanted to say I shaved my hair for the fact that so as I go through this transformation, you're able to see weight loss in the face easier, just for the sake of following along and seeing how fast things change, because typically, I'll lose an inch on my neck faster than I will even around the waist, and I will see that in my face oftentimes faster than you will see massive change again around the waist. So it's important that we take a look at that, and you should be looking at that in your own transformations is really the key here. Is don't just be looking at the waist size, be looking at the secondary, tertiary weight gain areas, because that's where you're going to burn and lose the fat first. So shave the face so we can see the weight loss, see it in the cheeks, so on and so forth, and go from there. And as far as fat is concerned, fat is just very unique. It's important. It's how we were able to store energy long term, and to be able to have energy for when we didn't have food immediately available for us. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, when we were still hunting and gathering, we didn't know when the next meal was necessarily going to be. Now that we're in civilization, and at least here in the United States, food is in abundance everywhere you go. There's a McDonald's gas station, there's food in all of those places, not alone actual grocery stores, restaurants, etc. With that said, everybody thinks that fat comes from fat. And one of the most interesting things about the diets coming out, and I'll go into that in more detail when we cover the diets, but high fat diets are less likely to just pile on the fat onto the body than carbohydrates. And the reason for that is a little bit of a story about sugar. Sugar, when it comes in, is dangerous to the body, and I'll cover that in a lot more detail when I cover carbohydrates. But the key is because it's dangerous to the body when it's in excess in the bloodstream, your body is quickly trying to pull it out of the bloodstream, and one of the ways it does that is by turning it into fats. So storing fat in the body is kind of unique. There's really two primary types of fat cells. One is a white fat cell, one is a brown fat cell. White fat cells, you can think of that as like hard storage. Hard storage, that fat's not going to be easily available to be burned as energy. So for people that are having issues losing weight, a lot of times it's because they can't mobilize the white fat cells and turn them into brown fat cells using hormones like neuroadrenaline to make that change, which then makes the fat available to be burned by other fat hormones. So when you're trying to burn fat out of the brown fat cells, it's very important that you have hormones like adiponectin, which is your primary fat-burning hormone, but also leptin. Now, the interesting thing is there for a while it was, leptin is the issue, but we know that, especially when we're talking about women's weight loss, and one of the progressions with fat loss over the years was the fact that women actually average about twice as much leptin as men. So what gives? Men typically are able to just jump in a gym and lose weight. Women don't go so easily. It has a lot to do with leptin resistance. So if you're already familiar with insulin resistance, people that have some form of diabetes, etc., what that means is that cells have receptors that recognize insulin and let sugar into the cell. Well, it's the same thing with leptin. There's receptors on the walls of each and every one of the cells that leptin goes and it communicates to. That's how it creates change. That's how it tells the fat cell, hey, it's time to burn some of the triglycerides, which is the storage form of fat, the triglycerides that you have available. And if you don't have these receptors, you have leptin resistance. So leptin resistance is also something to be considered. When you're trying to do these things, you're going to be wanting to do things like tart cherry. That goes back to doing the neuroadrenaline that changes the white fat cell to the brown fat cell. Different types of training, specifically high intensity interval training, has a lot more studies. It includes different aspects of training all into one that does a really good job of also boosting a whole list of fat-burning hormones. It is very good at that. And then, of course, you want to be able to raise your adiponectin levels. One way to do that is rice bran solubles. You can pick that up at your local organic store. And then the other thing is a lot of dark leafy green vegetables. That was part of an entire weight loss program, was how to decrease that leptin resistance with these dark green vegetables. So that's how you're able to break the fat back down. But of course, you want to increase. This is where calories comes into play. You want to make sure that your metabolic demand each and every day, so how many calories your body is burning, not just at rest, but because of also exercise, that is more than the calories that you're bringing into the body. So then your body has to then reach into your reserves, your energy reserves, your fat cells, to be able to maintain and match the calorie demand by the rest of the body, and therefore you will lose weight. And it is easier if you do things that have intensive breathing, getting your heart rate up, things of that nature. So after about day 4, I'm actually going to start doing about 20 minutes of cardio in the morning, kind of letting my body clear out a little bit. All right, so again, it was fat loss. Just wanted to give a little report of where I am. After 48 hours as of this morning, I actually was down 7.5 pounds. Now, obviously, not all of that is fat. Some of it is water weight, and some of it is also digestive matter, okay? And that has more or less been eradicated while not putting other food in. So the combination of all those things are kind of at play. I expect to not continue at that pace forever, but I do expect to keep a pretty good pace. If we can be keeping up with 2 pounds a day or whatever, that just is pure fat that I'm burning with what I'm doing. I'm not on 500 calories. I'm not 100% fasting. I use about 1,000, 1,200 calories. I'm not being very active because I have such a low calorie count. If I put more activity into my daily regimen, it could cause issues at this point. As we move forward and my body kind of adapts, I'll add mild cardio and start building that up. And then after 10 days, I'm going to go back to like whole food eating, and I'm going to get more into like the gym, matching, calories to the activity levels and things like that nature as we move into that stage. Anyway, that's a little bit about fats, fat burning hormones, keys on how typically what catches up with us. We have such carb heavy diets, and over the years that really breaks down metabolisms and things, and of course just the issues of aging in general. But here's the thing is, while we age in general and people pack on the pounds later in life, it's interesting to think if you were all involved in sports in high school, college, or you were still doing pickup basketball games in your 20s, the amount of effort you put into doing those things on a daily basis and how that kept your metabolism running, it's not happening. You move into fatherhood and family life with business like where I'm at now, it's kind of taking the time that it requires to get the other things in out of the way. So I'm making time. I'm really adjusting my life to make sure that my health is a priority. I obviously spend every day, all day, helping other people with their health and their priorities, and it's time for me to definitely walk the talk, just like I said in video 1. We're doing that. Hopefully this serves as an example that these principles are important, and it's something that, 1, you can take advantage of, 2, feel success with, and 3, reach the goals and have the type of health that you want moving forward. All right, with that said, I will talk to everybody tomorrow, and that's it for today. Thank you.